I hadn't opened that letter, I might have lived the rest of my life in silence, carrying a weight I never knew existed. That's how it all began, more than 50 years ago. I was a young woman then, full of dreams but also fears. Life wasn't easy for me. I grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone. My father worked 2 jobs, and my mother was the quiet kind who carried her pain without showing it. I was just 19 when something happened that changed the entire direction of my life. One afternoon, while cleaning the attic, I found an old envelope tucked inside a dusty wooden box. The handwriting was shaky, almost unreadable. At first, I thought it was just another bill or an old recipe note. But when I opened it, I discovered it was a letter from my grandmother, written before she passed away. The words inside hit me harder than anything I had ever read. She wrote about her own regrets, how she had always wanted to start a business, but never did because she was too afraid of failure. She wrote that fear was the silent thief of dreams. That night, I couldn't sleep. Her words echoed in my head. Fear steals more dreams than failure ever will. At that time, I was working in a local diner, serving coffee and washing dishes. I had been offered a chance to join a small community college, but I had already told myself I wasn't good enough. Reading that letter felt like my grandmother was speaking directly to me from beyond the grave, telling me not to waste my chance. The very next week, I made a decision that terrified me. I enrolled in that college. People laughed. Some even said, "You'll never make it. Girls like you don't finish school." But I kept that letter folded in my pocket. Every time I felt like giving up, I read it again. It wasn't easy. I failed my first exam. I worked late nights at the diner to pay tuition. There were days when I cried in silence, wondering if everyone else had been right about me. But slowly, something inside me changed. I stopped waiting for life to hand me something. I started creating my own opportunities. 2 years later, I graduated with honors. I went on to become a teacher, then a principal, and eventually I started a small foundation to help young girls pursue their education without fear. Looking back, I realized all of it began with that single letter, hidden in a box, written by a woman who never lived her own dream. Now, as an old woman, I often sit by the window and think, what if I had ignored that letter? What if I had let fear guide my choices? I would have lived a smaller life, one filled with regret. Instead, I chose courage, and that choice has given me a life of meaning, a legacy that continues even after me. So if you're listening to this, I want you to remember one thing. Fear is the liar in the room. It whispers that you can't, that you shouldn't, that you're not enough. But failure is just a teacher. It hurts, yes, but it teaches. Fear teaches nothing. It only steals. My grandmother never saw her dream come true, but through me, her words found life. And maybe through you listening right now, they'll live on even further, because sometimes the smallest decisions, the ones we almost ignore, become the ones that shape our entire future. And I promise you, if you choose courage, one day you'll look back and say, that was the moment my life changed.